Ooh, love that intro from Stephen Peak. Welcome everyone to another episode of Zoom Action, KSR's basketball breakdown show. As always, I'm your co-host, Zack Geoghegan, joined by my other co-host to my whatever side of me, Brandon Ramsey, who is in the most perfect UK man cave that anyone could create. Quickly, got to give a shout out to Holly. Already in this, like before the stream even started, 10 minutes before, was already ready for her Zoom Action. Big loyal viewer is Holly. So big shout out to her. Thanks for watching, Holly, as always. Before we get into the fun stuff here, let's go ahead and get our ad read out of the way. As always, for this month, we've been sponsored by My Old Kentucky Home Repair. Proudly serving the Bluegrass region since 2008, My Old Kentucky Home Repair offers handyman services, home repairs, remodels, and more. Head to their website at myoldkyhomerepair.com to learn more, or give them a call at 859-940-3376. My Old Kentucky Home Repair is your partner for any home project. Brandon, we've got some fun stuff to cover in this one. We're going to, we'll kind of set the scene a little bit. Kentucky's playing their best basketball this season right now, I'd say, or at least over the last, 3-4 weeks probably. Won 7 of their last 8, 11 of their last 14. Really, really big matchup this Saturday. The Denham game, the Tennessee game, the rematch, the first rematch of the season. Tennessee will come to Rupp Arena on Saturday night, 8:30 on ESPN. Kentucky, as many remember, went down to Knoxville, trailed by 17 points in the first half. I think it was a 12-point game, 11-point game at halftime, something
11.
like that. 11-point game, and the Kentucky slowly marched back throughout the entirety of that second half, led for like 50 seconds and ended up pulling out the win. So that was a big, big win. But Kentucky is also coming off 2 bounce-back wins after the Vanderbilt blowout. Obviously, the big Arkansas win down there in Fayetteville, and then earlier this week against Oklahoma, a quad 3 game that Kentucky really needed to win. So, like we said, 7 of their last 8. If you take out that Vanderbilt game, which we can't, it was still a 25-point loss. It sits in the back of my head every single time Kentucky's about to play basketball because I'm afraid that we're going to see that again. But still, Kentucky has won 7 of their last 8. They're playing really well right now. Everyone seems to figure out what their roles are. The identity is becoming clearer, and they're more fun team to watch right now, quite frankly. So what we have today for today's episode is we each chose 2 clips from 2 different games. So we each chose a clip from the Oklahoma game, 1 offense, 1 defense. And then we went back to the Tennessee game, which I believe was on January 17th. For some reason, January 17th sounds right. So that was 3 weeks ago. And then we both pulled an offensive defense clip from that Tennessee game. And we'll start with the Oklahoma game, kind of just talk about what we saw from there, why Kentucky is continuing to play at a high level. And then we'll go shift into that Tennessee game from a few weeks ago in Knoxville and just kind of see how, can Kentucky replicate some of that stuff? Tennessee's actually playing probably their best basketball this season coming into this game. They have not lost since losing to Kentucky down there in Knoxville. I think they've won 4 straight. 1 went to overtime against Georgia, but they beat Alabama. So they've got some quality wins playing. I think Nate Ament is playing his best basketball right now as well. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, kind of a jam-packed episode that we've got for y'all today. But Stephen, if you can go ahead and bring up the O-Ball O feed there, we can go ahead and start diving into our first clip here against Oklahoma. Look at that. Oh, don't even need to see our faces. Do you want to see our faces, Stephen? You don't have to if you don't want to. There we go. So we're going to go to this is the clip that Brandon chose. This is the very end of the first half. So as you can see, Kentucky kind of started to separate themselves around, I don't know, kind of towards the end of this first half. It was like the last 2 or 3 minutes where they really started to go up by double digits and really control the game, the feel of the game. So, but this was a great way to close it out. Really good defensive possession here. Brandon picked this one out in particular. I believe Kentucky something. Ooh, let me turn off the volume here so we don't get even in more potential trouble with video rights and stuff. So kind of a straightforward defensive possession here. Oklahoma's trying to milk the clock all the way down here to get the last shot. Mark Pope, I want everyone to watch Mark Pope here because he does a lot of in-game coaching while this is happening. He tells Colin Chandler when to bring a very well-timed double team, get the ball out of the point guard. Right there, you've just wasted 5 seconds effectively for Oklahoma's offense here as things continue to go along. Just great all-around staying on your man-type defense, forced into a tough shot by Tay Davis, Mo Diabate, and then Colin Chandler almost makes a miracle half-court heave that, if I'll be honest, I thought was going to go in. But Brandon, you pick this play. Let's go ahead and just dive right in. What'd you like about this? Tell me when to stop and start, and let's put the coach hat on. Let's do some film breakdown.
Yeah, what I liked about this play was, to me, it perfectly encapsulated why Kentucky was able to eventually pull away in the first half. I mean, we went through probably 16 or 17 minutes of that first half where Oklahoma was matching Kentucky shot for shot. You know, that they had a lot of guys making some tough shots. They had that they were making some threes. Number 9 or number 13, Davis was giving Kentucky a lot of trouble off the dribble, and then we're making some tough shots. But what I liked, and I was tweeting this like at every segment break, that Kentucky was doing a great job on number 1 Brown and number 9 Pack. Their 2 leading scorers, average 16 plus a game, dynamic playmakers, dynamic scorers, elite 3-point shooters. And I just thought that as the game went on, you can go ahead and pause it here, Zach, and I'll talk about this in a second. But as the game went on, I thought as long as Kentucky could hold those guys down, there was going to be a stretch where finally you got 3, 4, 5 stops in a row, and we saw that late in the half. And I thought this clip perfectly encapsulated what Kentucky was doing really on those 2 guys throughout the game. They just kind of finally got some credit for it late in the half. But I thought one of the things, and we'll talk about this even more in a little bit, I think Kentucky did such a great job mixing up some of the defensive looks throughout this game with some of the 1-2-2 extended pressure, dropping back to some zone, obviously man-to-man. Here, you're just kind of sending a wild card trap at the ball. And like you mentioned when you were talking about it, what this does is it gets the ball out of Brown's hands and, quite frankly, just kind of wastes 3, 4, 5 seconds for him to get it back. And then what I really like, if you'll go forward a little bit from here, is when Pack flashes off this little ghost screen right here, the way that Colin Chandler essentially just like no catches him. Like he's all the way out there. That's what you want to do. I mean, especially with now there's 7 seconds on the shot clock. Like you got to get tight to these guys that are elite shooters, because Pack can make it from the UK logo. He can make it from the half court circle. Like you get all the way out there. And then that kind of blew the play up from there, because they wanted to get the ball back to Pack, and Colin Chandler just said, no, you're not going to do that. And if you're going to do it, I'm going to make him catch it all the way out at half court. So now we just, no catch on Pack. Davis flashes, and Diabate just does a great job here, moving his feet, staying with him, contesting a mid-range jump shot, pretty low percentage shot for a guy like Davis, who isn't really a jump shooter. He wants to get all the way to the rim. And yeah, I just thought that was such a well-executed final possession. But I thought kind of big picture, it told the story of what Kentucky had done really well throughout that half. They just hadn't maybe had the credit on the scoreboard for it, because Darian Reed was hitting some shots and Davis was hitting some shots, and all these different guys were stepping up a little bit. But I really felt like if you continued to key on Brown, to key on Pack, you were going to get that separation on the scoreboard that we saw late in the first half, and obviously carried on into the second half.
Yeah, they really made life difficult for Nigel Pack. Let me go ahead and pull up those numbers real quick.
6 points on 8 shots in the game, I believe.
In the game, yeah. He was struggling hard. I think Brown kind of got going eventually in that second half a little bit.
He did in the second half, but in the first half, I think he only had 2 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was really great job, like from Otega Owe, everyone involved really did a great job of, especially on Pack, I thought, trying to limit him and making life difficult for him here. Like I said, like some of the things I want to get your thoughts on, Brandon, is just Pope kind of coaching these less, or like there's like a 5-second stretch here where he's waiting. Okay, once there's a time that hits, he says, all right, Colin, come up, draw the, like, let's get the double team now. Brandon Garrison, you come in and you effectively try and guard 2 areas at the same time here. Like, you're big and long enough that Nigel Pack's not making this pass, or whoever has, is that Pack? I'm not even sure.
That's Xavier Brown with the ball.
Brown with the ball. He's not making any of those passes over there. So he's just saying, all right, BG, stay in your little area there. Let's have Otega kind of stay in your area there. So I thought that was good, little in-game coaching stuff there. And then great job from the players to execute and pull it off. So just any thoughts on that in particular?
Yeah, I think somebody brought it up on KS Board today about how it seems like the Kentucky's doing maybe a better job of trusting each other. That goes both within the team, but then also the staff to the team to the staff, where you're able to sort of do some of these things on the fly, where Coach Pope can move the chess pieces around and Kentucky can fly around and sort of zone up there on the backside as you go double the ball. And I thought you really seen that especially in the last two games. Like I do think, again, I'm kind of the last one to ever probably sit here and say this team's turned a corner. All of a sudden they're different than what they are. I feel like I've had this team nailed since like January 3rd, and people didn't like what I had to say then. Now we've all kind of come around to it, but I'm also not kind of going above and beyond saying they're more than what we think they are right now. And but I think these last couple of games, something did happen. I think after the Vanderbilt game where we got our teeth kicked in, we got embarrassed again, and I think that there maybe was something, especially because you kind of started to feel good about yourselves going into that game, and then I think that was a nice sort of come to Jesus moment where you could say, "Hey, like you guys haven't done anything yet. Like let's not feel good about ourselves. Let's not pat ourselves on the back. We can't rest on our laurels and just expect to win these SEC games." And because I feel like the intensity and the concentration and even just the raw effort has been better these last two games, and the game planning has been better. The execution has been better. The communication has been better. And like I said, that goes beyond just the team. That's the staff to the team to the staff, kind of every iteration of this. We've seen improvement in the last couple of games. And what I was especially impressed with, and I talked about it leading into Wednesday, was like, you can't have that letdown off of Saturday. That this was the proverbial trap game where you're coming off a big emotional road win. You have this big emotional game coming up on Saturday, and you're playing a team that's lost 8 straight on Wednesday. And I thought that Kentucky showed some real toughness of being able to come out with a similar intensity from the tip that they did against Arkansas. Like this Oklahoma defense was Arkansas light a little bit. Like Nigel Pack and Xavier Brown are really freaking good. They're not Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas, but they're really freaking good, and they can beat you on any given night. And I thought that Kentucky came out with a similar intensity that they did in Fayetteville, and it was why they were able to mostly cruise to a 16-point win.
Yeah. I've got a thousand different things running through my brain right now trying to get a response to that. But yeah, we're not going to we're not talking about any of the Arkansas clips or anything in this game. But after, like, you can kind of poo-poo the stuff where Pope is like after the Vanderbilt game saying, we've changed practice routines, like we're doing the pregame stuff differently, like we're doing more first 4-minute simulations. Like you can kind of downplay that stuff, but I think there is like truth to it. And we had the whole, now they're doing boxing gloves, like the bigs are all doing their boxing gloves things in practice, like bringing that in, like just trying to bring a little bit more of a physical edge and just change things up a little bit, like because that 5-game winning streak before Vanderbilt, obviously that was a lot of fun, but there was a little bit of luck there when you're hitting game-winning shots, you're overcoming massive deficits. Like I think what we've seen the last 2 games is more impressive than what we saw in that 5-game winning streak, just from the fact that Kentucky was able to come out and play harder, more aggressive. What I really liked, especially going back to that Arkansas game, was Kentucky only shot like 9 or something free throws up until they got 3 technicals in 38 seconds. And I feel like most teams, when you're trying to build an identity of like being tough, that getting 3 technicals in 38 seconds might deter you from wanting to do that. But instead, Kentucky dug deeper and then ended up shooting like 16 free throws the rest of the game after that. So some of that is late game stuff where Arkansas has to foul, but there was a lot of just, all right, we're just going to get to the rim and just keep trying to make these officials call stuff. So, yeah, there's like the physicality and the response has been great. I forget exactly where you were going with that, Brandon. I just tried to rattle off everything that was in my brain right there as I was talking. But yeah, so just the back to this Oklahoma clip. This was just a great way to end this half here, and then really build up some momentum going to the second half where Kentucky, I think they got up by 20 at one point in that game. I kind of forget.
Got up by 19.
19.
Missed a layup that would have gone up 21.
Yeah. So even still, though, and then I think they got it down to 8 at some point in the second half there. But still, like I think the last 2 games has just been more impressive overall than those comebacks. Even still, just because of you got to start games better, especially if like Tennessee's not going to give up a 17-point lead in round 2. Like I don't see that happening again, especially with how they've been playing in the revenge factor and all that. So, but before I get off track 2 more, let's just go ahead and move on to the next clip here, Brandon. Unless you've got any other thoughts you want to give from that.
Let's move it along.
Let's move right along. We're going to 59:13 on our timestamp here. If I can get myself there. All right. 59-13. Yeah. So this is a offensive possession here from Kentucky. And I guess I'll set the scene here a little bit. Great game from Brandon Garrison. His best game as a college player, without a doubt. I in particular have not been kind to Brandon Garrison for a lot of this season, and it's because of things like this, like where it's just obvious that he can play to this type of level where he can be a guy that gets 20-point double-doubles. So it's frustrating when he just does stuff where he just turns the ball away for no reason. But I thought he was really, really locked in and disciplined in this game, knowing when to make his, knowing when to pass the ball, when to hold on to it, when to push in transition, when to not. And this was just one of many plays that I thought that Brandon Garrison did a good job of just reading what the defense was giving him, and being able to exploit it in just very simple ways. So I don't think there's anything earth-shattering in this clip we're about to show. But Brandon, I do just kind of want to get your general thoughts on how the playmaking aspect of Brandon Garrison showed up in this game and how maybe that can translate into the Tennessee win as well, or the Tennessee game. I can't go ahead and predict a win here, but so you get Ortega away, gets a simple ball screen here from Brandon Garrison. They pull a double on him. Just does a nice job of turning around, then getting himself into some space. I like how Brandon Garrison makes himself available, doesn't continue to goes into open space here where he can allow himself to be open for an Ortega away pass, who kind of makes that's an incredible pass from Owe. I don't know if he was slipping the whole way down or if he meant to do that, but I was just really impressed with that pass. And then BG has multiple options here. He can go up he's 2-on-1 right now. He can either go up and shoot the floater that we know he can make. I think Yelovich is asking for a lob here. He ends up just getting a simple, little easy pass there. Goaltend call. This ends up being a bucket for Kentucky. So I like Brandon Garrison when he gets himself in 2-on-1 situations because I feel like he usually knows how to make the right decision. And I just thought this was a very good example of that. It was a great just read of the double team that came from Ortega Owe to turn himself around. Nice little slip pass there. Brandon Garrison quickly reads and reacts, finds Yelovich, who is able to put the ball down, go up and under for a bucket here. So, like I said, this is more of a general compliment to Brandon Garrison's game because I feel like he deserves a shout out on Zoom Action for how he played the other days. But Brandon, what did you like from this play in particular first, and then maybe give some of your overall general thoughts on how Brandon Garrison played against Oklahoma and what he's going to have to do against Tennessee, because we'll talk about that more as well.
He was just so much more poised, and that was a word I used a lot against Arkansas for Kentucky's team, was how poised they were offensively. I thought Brandon Garrison was very poised against Oklahoma, I guess probably until the last 5 seconds of the game. Because we know we can't get Brandon Garrison to be poised for a full 40 minutes. We have
39 minutes is fun.
Yeah, if you dominate the first 39-55 like he did, I'll let you go old school Brandon Garrison for the final 5 seconds. But
yeah,
for him to get this catch and sort of read and react to everything in real time is not something that, and it's what I always say with Brandon Garrison. We have, which is not unlike Big Blue Nation, we have some unrealistic expectations at times of teams, of players, of different things. He is a backup center. Again, most backup centers are big old tubs of lard that are in the way defensively. They foul some people, and maybe they dunk it if everybody else on the court falls down. And
but before you go on, I'll provide the context that Brandon Garrison was the starting center to begin the season. So I think maybe that gets how you assess and judge him throughout the season is, okay, this was the guy that you expected to be the starter and then kind of quickly got replaced. So I'll add that in there and then let you go on. Point
taken and allowed. That was, yeah, because you're right. He got beat out by Malachi Moreno. That's why we're in the situation that we're in. And Jaden Quinn has played 4 games. But, Brandon Garrison is a good passer. He just is. Yes. Now, does he force it at times into some precarious, situations? And, yes, he does. Does his mind kind of work too fast for his body? Yes. Our friend Bradley from Up to No Good, I think he was the one last year that says everything that Brandon Garrison does is by accident, both good and bad. And there is a little bit of truth to that at times, but he's also just so innately talented. There are things that he and only he can do. Malachi Moreno, I love him. He ain't making this pass. Honestly, Mo Diabate, Andre Yelovich, I don't think they're making this pass. To be able to catch it, read, a lot of big guys would travel in this situation. A lot of big guys would take it in there and charge. They would, try to do some insane dunk and miss it. and he just plops it off to Andrei Yelovich for 2 points. I just think that as he slows down, and again, like I don't think we're all of a sudden we haven't unlocked 20-10 Brandon Garrison. Like there's a reason why it took until his 90th college basketball game for him to have 20-10. Like I don't think we're gonna like. There's a lot better chance that he's going to go back to, I'm one of his biggest supporters. There's a lot better chance we see 5-4 Brandon Garrison the rest of the year than we see this even one more time. But I'll take it when we can get it, and I do think it shows. And some of it, like I'm sometimes I get frustrated with our fans, and I think everybody probably knows that. But it is why some of that frustration is valid, because you see games like this, and it's like, gosh dang it, man! Like this is
play
why
like this all the time. It's can do it.
This is why we're hard on you. Like this is why we get mad when you don't bring it every game, or this is why we get mad when you throw it into the 8th row, because we know you're a great passer. We know you have great vision. You have some of the best kind of innate feel of anybody on this team. Like I always say, like the way he is the best ball screener on the team. He probably reads a defense kind of within the zoom action as well as anybody not named Amari Williams that we've had in the last 2 years. He is actually pretty physical. Like he likes to bang around with guys around the basket. He's really good at sealing and getting guys to score inside. And then he just also then does 5 insane things a game. And we just saw in this time where it was, Bill Simmons always talks about the table test. It's something I bring up from time to time. Like there's guys that bring a lot of things to the table and guys that take a lot of things off the table. It was kind of what he used to use to describe Russell Westbrook. Well, Brandon Garrison's a table test guy at times, and just unfortunately for most of his career, the table test has been, like a fat kid on the teeter-totter. Like, it's been like it hasn't the
been analogies today have been on point.
But I think we saw best case scenario of Brandon Garrison on Wednesday, and it was good to see. And something about him playing against Oklahoma, him and Ortega both, they don't like that state a whole lot.
Well, and you mentioned it. It's like and I said at the beginning, like that's the frustrating part about BG is like you shouldn't have to play Oklahoma every time just to have a good game. Like Ortega's been having 20 points every game in the SEC. Like it doesn't matter if it was Oklahoma or not. He was going to score 20 points in this game. Just the added effect of playing Oklahoma, I think, is why he was, maybe shot a little bit better, a little bit more confident coming into this game. But, we're not expecting 20-10 out of Brandon Garrison every game, but boy, it'd be nice to get 8-5 out of him, every 8-4 out of him every game, or something close to that. And, a couple of assists, because he really can do stuff out there that just other guys can't. And that's why it's just so frustrating, is you don't see it all that often. So, but he was just certainly locked in for this game. Maybe you just got to, against Tennessee, like just give him some contact lenses that makes it so orange turns into red or something like that. Like, I don't know how it is to get this guy locked in for all these games, but that was like, he was just really good against Oklahoma. Like, I think he still made like 1 or 2 kind of like, okay, what are you doing type mistakes, but you take 1 of those over the 5 that you're used to every single time. Because he just does fun stuff out there. At least when it's successful, it looks fun. When it's not successful, it looks terrible. But this was a great play. Like, it really was. It was just a simple, easy play, easy swing pass over there. I think you even had you posted a clip on Twitter of like where he hit maybe, I think it was Mo Diabate on like a back cut or something, and he ended up getting fouled. Mo did. So he like didn't get an assist for that, but like that was a great play. He ended up, what did Brandon end up with? 3 assists?
3 assists.
3 assists in that game. 1 turnover. Like, man, you take that every single time. You don't even have to get the 20 points and 11 rebounds. Like if he's a 3-1 guy, assist a turnover, Kentucky's probably going to be in a good spot. So good stuff from Brandon Garrison. They're going to need him against Tennessee, I believe. And like just the rest of the season, like other big teams like Florida, like you're just going to need him to step up. Yeah. Doesn't have to be 20-10 or 20-11, whatever you ended up with. But he was also 6 for 6 from the free throw line. Like, let's give him a shout out for that as well, hitting your free throws. So yeah, any other thoughts from this play, or and even Colin Chandler, like he could have flipped it over there if he really wanted to, but that, we won't talk about that too much. Anything else from the Oklahoma game that you want to get off your chest before we dive into some Tennessee stuff?
I don't think so. And like I said before the game, I say it a lot in these sort of situations. When you win Wednesday to earn the right to go win on Saturday. Those are the games you have to take advantage of. You can't let those hurt your resume. Kentucky continues to put themselves. I mean, now you're in a position where you win on Saturday, and like your resume is like
looking
it's
good.
it's good. Like it's weird to say, but like it's just gonna be good if you win on Saturday and taking care of business there on Wednesday, winning 7 of 8 in the SEC. Like, you know, I am getting to the point, like even with myself a little bit, and then we'll move on here. But like, you know, I'm almost having to like come back to myself, and it's like, you know, we're not talking about small sample sizes here anymore. Like we've won 7 of 8, we've won 11 of 14. Like I think we all have some very understandable trepidation of like buying into this team because, you know, it was still just a week ago when you get the crap beat out of you by Vanderbilt. And we've seen what happened against, you know, Alabama and Gonzaga. Like those games all happened too. But it's like, hey, we're not talking about just beating up on the bad teams, or we're not just talking about some little, you know, we played well for a week. Like, no, we've played pretty darn well for an extended period of time here. And you've won games in different ways and all this stuff. So I think that we're getting close to having me change my tune a little bit about this team, but we still need a couple big wins before I'm willing to adjust my ceiling any.
I'm just kind of reading through the comments here. There's a lot of people going at Brandon Wells is like catching some strays in here.
Yeah, people are big mad in the comments.
Yeah, I don't know. Did we say?
Appreciate you all, by the way. But
yeah. Thanks for all the comments. Keep them coming. Yeah, Malachi is better than BG. Like, yeah, Malachi is better than Brandon Garrison. I don't think we've said anything to suggest otherwise. That
yeah, I agree.
I think, yeah, like Malachi is better than Brandon Garrison. But like someone pointed it out in here. Who was it? I think maybe Captain Crash said that like Malachi gets out muscled at times. Like that's absolutely true. Like that's kind of Malachi's one of his. He's got like 2 kind of major flaws right now, and they're both connected. And it's his physicality, and he's like not a great rim finisher as well. And I think some of that stems from the physicality and stuff. So Malachi is still the better player. He's the starter. He's the guy you want out there playing 25 minutes at the center spot more often than not. But like if it's going to be a game by game thing, and Brandon Garrison is a better player, like you just got to roll with him, and that's what Pope did against Oklahoma. So I'll turn off or I'll stop reading the comments for a minute so I can refocus here. Let's go into Tennessee. So let's see. I think I've got the defense play here, and Brandon has the offense play. So let's let Tennessee. They're coming to Rupp Arena again. I think we talked about it there. They've won 4 straight since losing to Kentucky. They're playing great basketball. They're still the best offensive rebounding team in the country. They don't, or maybe they're not turning the ball over a lot right now. They're actually shooting the 3 a little bit better. So I think like their defense is still playing at the consistency, the consistent high level that it had been, but maybe their offense is taking a little bit of a jump as well, particularly with Amen and Gillespie. But they're still just like a tenacious rebounding team, like very good at attacking the glass. And that's why this could be a game where you see some Brandon Garrison and Malachi Moreno. Because I think if we go back, did we get some? Mo fouled out in this game, but Malachi had 4 fouls in this game. Like Tennessee's a team that you're going to have to try and battle through some foul trouble with. And that's why you're going to need Brandon Garrison to step up. And he doesn't have to get 20 and 10 every game, but you're going to have to get some production from him in this Tennessee game, I certainly feel like. And from Mo again as well. But you got it from Mo in the last game. So let's see if one of those 2 guys can replicate that again. All right. So this was my play that I picked out. And let me mute it real quick. And we'll let it run through. And I believe, so like you get some token pressure here as well. And I know, Brandon, you've talked a little bit about like some full court press stuff. And I feel like we saw it a little bit more against Oklahoma. Or not even like full court press, really like trying to turn people over, but more of just like trying to delay the start of the offense and things like that. And if I recall correctly, like back in the offseason, we talked about the potential of this being like a pressing team. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we thought there was going to be 3 other guys in the lineup, 3 starters, but it felt like they had like the potential to do that, not even to force turnovers, but just to be long and to like try and delay the offense a little. And I think we saw that you saw that a little bit in this clip, and then we saw it against Oklahoma. So just a little bit of pressure there to really slow things down a bit. And then we get into I don't know, it looked like it's a 2-3 zone, but like it just felt like it was kind of changing throughout. But you get Kentucky into a spot here where you get, I think that's Abrams for Tennessee, who's
Mhm.
I think he's like a 37% 3-point shooter guy, but a very low volume. So out of the zone, if you can get a guy to shoot that, I think you're totally fine with that. They get the offensive rebound here. You got to change up on that. But I thought the ability to really recover here, and then especially Mo to play good defense on carry. That's something you're going to have to see a lot more again on Saturday as well, is Mo playing really solid defense. And then on the inbounds play here, just great, more just back to man-to-man stuff here. I thought they did a great job of just staying on their guys, switching when needed. And then you get Abrams to shoot an even worse shot than the last one that ends up not even hitting the rim. And boom, Kentucky gets the ball. So, and that was, I think they just kind of started Kentucky at this point to come back from their 17-point hole and then make it 11 points at halftime. So, I think this is something that you can see carry over into Saturday's game. Throw multiple defensive looks, like start out in a little bit of a press like they do here, fall into a 2-3 zone, and then if maybe even go right into a man from that, or if there's like an out of bounds play or something, switch it up right into man. Just make things confusing, make life difficult for a Tennessee offense that's been playing better lately. So I was just impressed overall with how Kentucky was able to defend on this possession. I wanted to try and pick something that we didn't talk about from the last Tennessee Zoom action game we did. But like this solid, good movement there from Tennessee. Kentucky's able to fend off multiple opportunities, scoring opportunities here for Tennessee. And then Mo playing some good defense on the block there, I thought was a nice addition to that. And then I'll just let it run through here one more time. When Carey's holding the ball there for a few seconds on the side, that's perfectly fine. You let him do that however he wants. They're struggling to get into their actions, and then you just have to fire up a prayer here that doesn't go in. So there's kind of a lot going on in that clip, but Brandon, I'm curious to get your thoughts on, is this something that you think we can see again from Kentucky, where they throw out some more zones, some more full court press, so switch into man, maybe even that 1-2-2 that, or was it a 1-2-2 against Oklahoma that fell into a 2-3, something like that? But I'll just let you talk. What did you think about this, and is it something you can see happening again on Saturday?
Absolutely. I think that mixing in maybe even more of the full court pressure is something that I would not mind seeing. I talked about it on Twitter. Maybe 2 or 3 extra possessions a half, if you can do that of the press. Kentucky generally right now does it after free throws and out of timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
If you can just kind of find a couple extra possessions a half, is Tennessee leads the SEC in turnovers. They turn it over on almost a fifth of their possessions. So I think, and I remember, I forget if it was first half or second half, doesn't really matter, but there was a time when Jasper Johnson was in at kind of the point of the press. And he does a really good job. He's really active. He's long. We saw him get
man.
He got a deflection up against Oklahoma on Wednesday. And then when we played Tennessee a couple weeks ago, he was kind of up pressuring the ball as the guy picked it up, kind of started to backpedal to the other guy. And Tennessee just threw the ball out of bounds because Jasper just kind of bothered him enough.
Yeah.
And I think you can get Tennessee to give you, like 1 turnover a half if you just pick up that token pressure. And one of the things too with the press, I think because a lot of us grew up, watching Coach Pitino, Kentucky teams or whatever, a lot of Kentucky fans and a lot of basketball fans in general think of a full court press as forcing turnovers, as speeding up the game. And you mentioned it, Zach, and it's definitely what Kentucky's press is. Kentucky's press is to slow you down. It's essentially token pressure. Now, might they sort of make them throw one out of bounds? Yes, but it's not really meant to turn the ball over. They're not trapping the ball. They're not flying around. What they want you to do, and Tennessee did it here, they want you to initiate offense with 20 seconds on the shot clock, with 18 seconds on the shot clock. So you only have to guard for 15 or so seconds as opposed to 25 seconds if you just let them dribble it right into action. So that's what this Kentucky 1-2-2 sort of token pressure is meant to do. And then, I think throwing some change-ups with some zone defense, is it going to be the answer to beating Tennessee? No. Can it be the answer to stealing a couple, random missed shots or just throwing them off their game, or honestly also just giving your defense a different look of something to do as well? Just, you can rest a little bit more in a zone, quite frankly, give yourself a break for a possession and hope you get them to miss a shot. I think all of those things are part of throwing the kitchen sink at these good teams like Tennessee. So I think that continuing to mix things up with the defensive looks will be part of Kentucky's identity going forward, quite frankly, because they have the athletes to fly around and be long in a zone or in some full court pressure. I like you mentioned here how they switched some stuff in their man to man as well. I think that's something they probably need to lean into doing even more as well, just being more willing to switch, especially when Brandon Garrison is in there at the 5. I think there's nothing that's keeping you from being able to switch 1 through 5. And yeah, Tennessee is still the best offensive rebounding team in the country. So you're going to have to be big. Felix Akpara, I think, is questionable still
Yeah,
for
he'll play.
for this game. So yeah, he's missed the last 2 games. So even if he is back, maybe he won't be, playing as many minutes or as effective. But Jalen Carey kind of whipped us early on in this game down in Knoxville because he is a big, strong hulk of a man. I'm sure we'll get to look at his dad for about 20 minutes on TV, like we did in the last game as well. But
He's massive.
He's even more massive and even more.
He's
scary.
a big dude.
But I think that the front court play, the toughness of this game, it's going to be a big part of winning in Knoxville or beating Tennessee once again.
I think we have a super chat here. Shout out to Athir K head here 10. My Cats can't lose Saturday versus Tennessee. Must win game. I don't know if it's a must win from the fact that you really don't want to do it with the denim uniforms and at Rupp Arena and the whole aspect of that. But from a resume standpoint, it's probably not a must win. I mean, it's every game's a must win. Like let's be real. Like it's Kentucky, every game's must win. But at least from a resume standpoint,
baby. Gold standard.
It's not necessarily like a must win. But boy, it'd be tough to the optics. It'd be tough to lose with the denims and all that. Especially if Tennessee kind of comes in there and runs them out of the building, which I don't think will happen. But thank you, Athir, for the super chat there. Appreciate that. And got to give you a shout out too. So I'm just looking through the comments here, seeing if there's anything else I need to or I want to talk about. But someone says we got Doug shows tomorrow. Uh-oh.
There was a question I wanted to relay to you, Zach, since you're around the back rooms more than me. So somebody mentioned, is there been any update on Denzel Aberdeen, just in terms of his eye? Are we good to go there?
Yes, as far because he still played. He came into after in that Oklahoma game. I haven't heard anything in particular, but I would expect he plays tomorrow. I know
so there was getting retinal surgery and he's going to be out for 6 months.
Yeah, let's hope. Geez, but we'll find out tonight whenever the injury report comes out. I think it's like 8 Eastern time is usually when it comes out. So we'll see that, and I think we'll know.
Hopefully, he's not even on it. Quite frankly,
yeah, I don't think he will be. I think Akbar is probably the only name you're going to be looking for on it. But I think he's going to be fine and good to go. I do think because when I was rewatching the game, I saw there was a shot of like Brandon Wells like trying to open up Denzel's eye because like he couldn't. I guess he got poked that bad. But if he was able to come back in 10 minutes later, I think he'll end up being fine, especially with a few days rest. So there's some sort of miracle drug out there, I'm sure, that can heal a swollen eye pretty quickly. So, but they're going to need Denzel. Like, my gosh, the guy has been like I feel like he was loudly playing very well over the last 8 games, and then kind of like, I don't know, just the highlight reel plays maybe weren't as often, but I feel like he's still playing just as steady as he was over the last 4 games as he was the 4 games before that, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, he's going to be key. He's necessary. He's your point guard right now. So gosh, you cannot afford to go down another point guard. That would be a real bummer right now. But Brandon, let's go ahead and move on to your play here. So we're going deep into the game. We're in the second half. 109-45 is where you have me. And this is I want to say we might have talked about this play.
We did.
And that we did talk about in the first Zoom action because I feel like I remember
it twice, Zach.
Yeah, that's right. Fine by me, because this is like the type of offense you're going to have to see. This is just great passing is really all it is. It's just excellent passing from Kentucky. And it's, I think we probably made a joke at the time when we talked about this a few weeks ago. We're like, wow, ball movement, good things happen, right, when you move the ball. So that's exactly what happens here on this play. Tennessee comes off a score, and then Kentucky just whips the ball around real quick. You get quick passes from everyone here. You're able to generate a switch. Good pick and roll there. Mo drives, kicks. Jasper, great decision making. Great shot fake from Denzel for a big 3. one of like his 1,000 points that he had in that Tennessee game. So Brandon, let's run it back. Let's run this play back. Give us put on your coaching hat. What do you like?
So today, I think it was you, Zach, that at least put on the board a quote about Coach Pope mentioning how good
The
Brandon
short
Garrison
roll.
played on the short roll against Oklahoma. Well,
We
that
just showed a
short
play
roll
earlier about it.
yes, exactly. We had a perfect example of it. Here's a perfect example of it from the Tennessee game. Obviously, Mo Diabate instead of Brandon Garrison. You're going to have to play out of the short roll to beat Tennessee because they're pretty aggressive, hard hedging a lot of these ball screens, and that means that's going to be what's open. You need to get the ball out quick. You need to get it to Mo Diabate where he can attack downhill. I put a clip up on Twitter earlier today contrasting him kind of isolation from what I called a stagnant catch where he's not moving, where he had to catch it, guy between him and the basket, and because he's not very big, like he just kind of ends up throwing it to the rim. It was ugly against Oklahoma. When he can get it early and attack downhill with a head of steam, he's pretty darn good. He can go score it at the rim. He did that against Tennessee a couple of times. He'd made plays like this against Tennessee where he can pass it, attack that help because Tennessee, I talked about it a ton in the scouting report before the last game. I'm going to be talking about it a lot over the next 24 or I guess like 34 hours or 32 hours. I can't do math, whatever. Like Tennessee
like 26 hours, but I get your point.
Thank you. Tennessee helps with 2 hands and 2 feet on penetration. What that means is like they are going to not let you get to the rim, but they're going to quote unquote let you drive and kick and shoot threes. Like I think Kentucky ended up shooting, I don't know if you have it, Zack, like 11 of 24 from 3
Correct.
against Tennessee. Man, this brain. Sometimes, man, I amaze myself. But 11 of 24 from 3 against Tennessee. Like this is one I would like to see 33s. Like I don't know if 24 is enough because it's what they want you to shoot those threes because they're going to come in there and help with 2 hands and 2 feet and cut off that dribble penetration. Anytime you get a paint touch, you better be thinking like, hey, let's give it up. Because if not, you're going to over penetrate. You're going to put yourself in precarious situations. Bad shots, turnovers are going to come. The way the ball moved in this possession, that's how it needs to move to beat Tennessee. And then, I mean, Denzel Aberdeen, man, he was obviously great in this game, but you mentioned it. I think I said yesterday during this last 8-game stretch, obviously Kentucky's won 7 of the 8. Denzel Aberdeen, I believe, was averaging 14.1 points, 3.3 assists per game, only 10 turnovers total in those 8 games, and he's shooting like 44% from 3. Now, like, is that shooting sustainable over the course of the rest of the year? I mean, I don't know, maybe, but like probably not. But if he can just hit some big ones like this off of some great ball movement, it could be enough on Saturday. And right now, that's all we really care about.
Yeah, I want to talk more about the short roll stuff because Tennessee did do a lot of hard hedging, and Kentucky's faced a lot of teams that do a lot of the hard hedging stuff, and I feel like they've done a pretty decently good job of handling it lately, or at least during this stretch here. But I think that's why you could maybe see another big Brandon Garrison game or potential for him to make an impact on this game along with Mo is like when those two in particular get the catch here on these short rolls, like you just trust them a little bit more than maybe a Malachi Moreno. Like I still trust Malachi to like make a good pass here, but I trust Mo Diabate to go to the rim more and like put pressure on whoever's the backline of defense here for Tennessee. Maybe Brandon Garrison a little bit less, but I would trust Brandon a little bit more to put the ball on the floor and make a dribble or two and get himself closer to draw some defense and kick it out. Malachi can still do all that stuff, and he'll probably have a chance to showcase his ability to play on the short roll against Tennessee again. But I do think with Mo in particular, like I don't know if it was on KS Board or something, or maybe on Twitter you mentioned it, but like Mo only can score a few ways. Like there's only a handful of ways that he can score or even generate offense. And one of those is by doing stuff like this. Another one is like, I do think that there's like, he has to be close on the block, but I feel like if he's on the block, if he can spin, he's so damn big that it's just like, as long as he can get to his left hand, he's probably going to either get fouled or make a shot. But that and like his driving kicks are probably the 2 most efficient ways for him to like find ways to get Kentucky points. So, just kind of talk a little bit more about the short roll. Like how impactful do you think that can be against a defense like Tennessee that will try and hard hedge a bit? Or do you even see, like, do you think Tennessee will switch things up a little bit? I'm sure Rick Barnes is watching more tape than we are on all this stuff.
I don't think they're going to switch it up. Their identity is their identity. Like, that's what has made them good over in years past. And I think that, I don't mean this in a negative way, but Rick Barnes is going to coach his team his way, and it's either going to be good enough or not. Like, he's not necessarily going to be, changing things up in order to beat Kentucky. He thinks that his way is going to work, and more times than not, he's right, but not against Kentucky. So I think playing out of the short roll is going to be huge in this game. And I think one of the distinctions, talking about Malachi Moreno in the short roll, what's tougher for him is that he doesn't yet have the comfortability to do a whole lot from a dribble. Like,
you can't put the ball on the floor.
You can throw it to Malachi, and we've even seen this actually in a couple of games where he's able to catch it on the short roll and then just stop and then make passes that way. But
he's amazing at that.
Yes, but whereas Mo Diabate can attack the rim, Brandon Garrison, you get a little less comfortable with it, but he at least can do it. He also might throw it in the 10th row, but he might make a good play. So probably your comfortability scale would be Mo Diabate, definitely number one, Brandon Garrison and Yelovich, like 2A, 2B, and then definitely Malachi would be last. But I think if he does it from the catch, as opposed to those other guys, at least having some ability to go score it off the dribble, to take two dribbles, let the help come to you, and then make the play. Like, Malachi's not going to do that yet, whereas those other guys can do it. But obviously, you don't need all four of them to be able to do that in the game. You have some guys that can do that, and then you have Malachi who can play make in some different ways, and just the normal, like, he those other guys have that strength, but like Malachi is probably the best at like operating the zoom action stuff. So because he can see over people. He's 7 feet tall. He has really good feel for that. Heck, I mean, I think it was the Oklahoma game on Wednesday. The pass he made out of the post with his back to the basket to Andrea Yelovich, who was cutting, and that's when he almost dunked on the guy, got fouled, went to the free throw line. So, like, again, like that's another scenario where that doesn't show up in the box score because you don't get an assist on the free throws. But like I said it at the time. I mean, we're a month out from Nate Oates talking about how Kentucky's big men don't pass, and I'm not calling out Nate Oates. Like, he was right at the time. I mean, the stats were the stats. He wasn't just making things up. Like, he had statistical analysis to back it up, and he was right. The bigs weren't passing well at that time. It was a black hole when you threw it inside, and either something bad was going to happen, or they were going to miss a shot because they weren't very efficient. They were going to miss a layup because that's what we do. But now you're seeing them, and like quite frankly, I almost thank Coach Oates for it, because I very genuinely think that like we started to talk about it when he brought it up, and we're like, oh shoot, we need to like our big.
Then you looked at it and you're like, oh my gosh,
right? And our big men are too good of passers for Coach Oates to say that with truth behind it. Like, I think it was a wake up call to everybody involved, the coaches, the players, of like, hey, like, no, Malachi Moreno is a good passer, so we should be utilizing his passing ability out of the post. So yeah, he has other strengths compared to the other guys. But I think on the short roll, it's probably going to be a lot of Mo Diabate, a lot of BG, and then you're going to have some of those just aggressive driving kicks as well, which we've continued to get better at. I mean, Colin Chandler had a beautiful drive and pass to Brandon Garrison against Oklahoma. Denzel Aberdeen, as we talked about, Denzel's starting to take less of those, what the heck mid-range jump shots, and he's turning them into assists. Even Otega Owe is starting to drive it and at least have the ability to see some things happening around him and dish it off a little bit. So I mean, Jasper Johnson, I think, led the team in assists against Tennessee the last time with 4. So his playmaking could be part of this as well, and you need that. One of the things I'm going to be really watching in this game, Kentucky is going to have to do a better job on the glass. They still got whipped on the offensive glass the first time against Tennessee. Like I said, Tennessee is the best offensive rebounding team in the country, but they were like over 50% on the offensive glass against us the first time.
That's what they were on the season. That's that's their season stat is 49% or 50%.
Yeah, it's unreal. But you're going to have to be better on the defensive glass. And then I think we're going to have to assist more. We only assisted on half of our made field goals against Tennessee the first time around. A lot of that was because we kind of just went Denzel Aberdeen ball down the stretch, and a lot of that was in isolation. I don't think that's going to be the recipe to beating them again. Like, he played out of his mind. That's awesome. I'm glad it happened. But I think this time around it's going to be drive and kick threes, short roll, kick out threes. And so I'm looking for probably 60% assist rate. And like I said, I really would like to get to that 33s number in this game. I think that's what it's going to take to beat Tennessee.
Yeah, 21 assists to 6 turnovers against Oklahoma for Kentucky. That was one of their better assisted turnover games of the season. You say that with the caveat knowing that Oklahoma is now 1-9 in the SEC. Just not a good basketball team, to be quite frank. And Tennessee's obviously a much better defensive team, so it'll be tougher to get that number to 21-6. But how many turnovers did they have in that first game? Let me check real quick. UK had 9 turnovers. Yeah, 14 assists to 9 turnovers. So you want to get a couple more assists and a few less turnovers, and you're right there in good shape. Kind of what you're looking at against in that Oklahoma game. So yes, I think. And what's nice about, to kind of go back to the front court, is Malachi, BG, and Diabate, when they're all playing well, they all bring something different. And I think that's, the versatility, especially against a big team like Tennessee, I think is important. I'm very worried that Nate Ament, because he kind of popped off in the second half of that game against Kentucky. I'm just worried that he's going to play like a lottery pick, because he really didn't in the first game. Kentucky did a good job of defending him. I kind of forget. I feel like Cam Williams only played 15 minutes in that game. So it's not like he was the guy hounding him the whole time. Kentucky did a good kind of collective job on Nate Ament, but he's been playing great basketball lately. So I think he's one of the other main, of all the things to worry about in this game. I think Nate Ament is, when he's 6'10", he can shoot the ball. It's tough to defend. So how do you think Kentucky kind of goes about that with no Cam Williams? Do you do some Yelovich a little bit? Do you do some Colin Chandler? Do you maybe go smaller with Owe, Aberdeen? Do you just kind of switch a bunch, or what maybe some Mo Diabate? How do you think they approach that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what we talked about just with the defense in general, of giving it different looks. That I think, you're gonna have to throw some different things at Nate Ament. You're gonna want times. I probably my lean would be towards having length on him. So have Andre Yelovich, have Brandon Garrison even on him at times, guys that can move their feet a little bit, and then have the length to at least contest and make some of his shots as difficult as possible. But then I also think that, as the change up, then you throw Mo Diabate at him and be, extra physical, kind of get up underneath him a little bit. Yeah, maybe even a Colin Chandler to do the same thing. And then his athleticism maybe allows him to contest a little bit. But, the thing that does concern me about Nate Ament more than some other guys, Kentucky did a great job these last couple games, as we talked about earlier in this episode, taking away some really dynamic scoring guards.
Great job on Acuff in that first half.
Great job. The tough part about Nate Ament is that he's 6'10". So when he wants to get his shot, it's just you can do a lot of things to make it hard. And, Acuff's an elite player, but at the end of the day, he's a 6'2" guard. There are guys that
likes mid-range shots too.
Yeah, that can make it hard for him. You can play the best defense humanly possible on Nate Ament, and he might just shoot it over top of you. And that's why
happened a couple times.
That's why he might be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft, is because he can do those sort of things. But you just have to make it as hard on him as possible. Like I said, probably switch up the looks a little bit, use some physicality on him. But ultimately, I think having some length there, just to try to stay between him and the back, that would be my worry about Yelovich. Is Yelovich at times, we saw it certainly with Tay Davis, even he struggled to stay between him and the basket.
Boy, he was getting cooked off the dribble.
And I don't want to let Nate Ament just drive it at you and dunk it the whole game. I at least want to make him make 12 to 18-foot contested jump shots. If you can do that, then, hey, if he makes enough of those to beat us, I'll be mad, but I'll tip my cap and say, well, that dude's a top 5 pick. But I don't think he can make enough of those to win. You just got to keep him from getting hot from 3, and you got to keep him from dunking it on you a bunch.
And then we'll talk about Jacoby Gillespie for a second because he was their best player, 24 points, 8 assists, shot 50%. He had 4 turnovers, but just hits like some deep threes, some big shots for them. I do feel a little bit more confident now of Kentucky's ability to defend him, just kind of seeing what we saw against Nigel Pack and Darius Acuff, like kind of different type of point guards, but still, I mean, not really. Like it's still defending a guard in the backcourt. It's still basketball. So I do feel comfortable with Kentucky's ability to not let him go for 24 and 8 again. But also at the same time, like if I'm having to choose between which Tennessee player has 24 points, I'd rather be Jacoby Gillespie than Nate Ament. I don't know. I don't have like a real logical reason for that. I just feel like Kentucky's chances would be better if Jacoby Gillespie is the best player for Tennessee as opposed to Nate Ament. Because like you said, one guy's a top 5 or top 10, whatever you want to say. Like he's a lottery pick. Like, so yeah, that's it. I'm interested to see how they go about that. Any big Gillespie thoughts here?
And this is more just my personal coaching philosophy, so that shines through here a little bit. But I do think it works with a guy like Gillespie. Is to me what I would want to see, especially with the way that Tennessee's team is as a whole, that they're not while they're shooting it better of late, they're not an elite 3-point shooting team.
They're low volume
by any means. Yeah, that they shoot a decent percentage, but they don't want to be out there shooting 33s like Kentucky's more comfortable doing. So my big thing with guarding Gillespie is I'll live with the 24 points. I don't want to live with the 8 assists again. I definitely don't want to live with the combination of the two. I think that if you make him be a scorer and a scorer only, like heck, I'll if he gets 28 or 30, but he has 3 assists, I'll feel pretty darn good on Saturday about Kentucky's chances. I don't want him driving in there. You help up and they lob up Doc Para, or you help up and they get Jalen Carey on a seal, or you help off of Boswell, you help off of a Mint, and they start shooting it in from 3. Like to me, even if it costs you like a couple layups, where it's like, oh man, like why was there no help? Like, well, because we didn't want to help. We wanted to stay out. And if every once in a while you get beat 1-on-1 and he lays it up on you, he's a really good player. That's going to happen. But yeah, to me, the main thing with Gillespie is, you want to take him away from 3. You want to get out there and not let him hit some of those tough, deep ones that he's good at shooting off the dribble, those things. But then once he starts getting downhill, not that you're playing Ole defense and letting him, go layup lines to lay it in, but I really would focus on taking those assists away more than I would worrying about how many points he scores. Like I would kind of, let him get his, so to speak, a little bit, especially from 2-point range, and then see, hey, can we hold him to 3 or 4 assists or fewer? I think if you do that, you have a really good chance to win.
I'm just looking back at some of the numbers from the last game. Like I remember Kentucky getting whipped on the glass in the first half by their bigs and then doing a better job of shoring that up in the second half. So that's, that's kind of what we've talked about the whole time we've talked about Tennessee, is finding ways to keep them from getting a 50% rebound rate, or offensive rebounding rate would be nice.
It is difficult though, because
it is difficult. That's their season average. That's what they do. Yeah, that's why not having Akpar out there would just be, that'd be awesome. If Kentucky's down 3 starters. Can they miss one?
Right.
Of their,
yeah.
Can they miss their like 5th best starter? Like, come on, let's. I hope he's fine. But like, if he wakes up tomorrow morning and his ankle's sore or whatever it is,
I hope he's fine. I hope he's fine on Sunday.
Yeah. If he wakes up Sunday feeling like $100, that'd be awesome. Just as long as he's at 80% on Saturday and can't go. So, any final, this is obviously a big game for the whole Denham reason. Like a lot of eyes are going to be on this game. Tennessee is still ranked. I think they're 25 or 24, something like that.
They're in there.
I mean, if Kentucky wins this game, you're probably going to be ranked next week in the AP poll. Especially if you can kind of win this, like in fun, not go down 17 points in the first half and keep this one close. I don't want to jinx myself by saying that the slow starts are a thing of the past, just because we saw it happen 10 days ago against Vanderbilt. But I think more or less they are. And I would just really hate to see that a slow start happen again in Rupp Arena on Saturday, because I just don't think that Kentucky's going to be able to overcome a 17-point deficit, knowing how the first matchup played out. Like, I don't think Tennessee would let that happen. So I know you're going to be there. I'm going to be there. The whole KSR crew is going to be there. Let's just, before we wind down here, any big picture thoughts on this matchup, both on the court and maybe long-term for Kentucky?
Oh, it's gonna be a really fun game. I mean, with the denim stuff that we've been waiting a couple years for, an 8:30 game, like people are gonna have all
Wait,
day to enjoy KS Bar and
that'll be
go
a
out and
drunk game.
do their thing. And obviously, and it's Tennessee. Like you don't need a whole lot of extra reasons to get excited, but there are a couple extra reasons to get excited for this game. So I think it's going to be an awesome atmosphere. Hopefully, that will help carry the Cats through some tough times in this game that help them get off to a good start. All those things, and yeah, I mean this is a game where Kentucky has several chances down the stretch here to really start to, again, are they going to get a 1 or a 2 seed like we wanted them to get? No, obviously not. But they have some chances to really put themselves in a position to compete for an SEC championship. Like we are in the running to compete for an SEC championship if you win tomorrow. It is on the table. If Kentucky wins tomorrow, they will be by themselves in second place.
Don't Florida and Texas A&M play?
Yes, that's why they'll. Okay, so if Kentucky wins, we will be in second place when we go to sleep on Saturday night. So you are competing for an SEC championship. You are competing. Each one of these quad one wins is like worth a seed line almost at this point, especially as Kentucky's still kind of trending up in terms of the resume. So if you can get it done here, it takes some pressure off of some of the big road games coming up. Like you don't have to feel like you have to win at Florida, you have to win at A&M, or you have to win at Auburn. It allows you to drop a couple of those, but if you can continue to take care of business at home, it'll be really big. But yeah, I'm as excited, quite honestly, for this game, just because I mean, even still, like this season has been tumultuous, and we haven't always had a lot of things to feel good about. And I just think that having a long Saturday where we get to watch some other fun national games, everybody goes out and have some drinks, like to have this kind of full fun Saturday, probably the first one of this basketball season where like people feel good about how things are going for the most part. You're playing a team in Tennessee that everybody loves to hate. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a really fun day in Lexington. And quite frankly, with how the season's gone, I think we all deserve to kind of just sit back and enjoy it. And like, let's not spend the day thinking about our injuries. Let's not spend the day thinking about $22 million roster and underachieving. Like, let's just spend the day having some fun and trying to beat the heck out of Tennessee.
Yeah, Rupp Arena is going to be awesome. It'll probably be the best atmosphere of the season, I would say. The Indiana, North Carolina games, those were fun, but this is like the denim aspect and all that. I know Tweeter BBN is asking, is the KSR crew wearing denim? Brandon, you got any denim in your wardrobe, like a denim jacket or something fun you're gonna break out for this one? I might wear some jeans just to. I don't really like wearing jeans, but maybe I will just to kind of feed into the denim aspect.
I mean, I'm from small town Indiana. I certainly own some good old blue jeans, but no, I don't own any denim tops.
Okay.
Maybe can we just go like full overalls or something crazy?
Hey, I guarantee you there will be multiple fans just wearing straight up overalls. And not like the fun, like ones that they sell like for football games,
right?
And stuff. Like just real like country, country overalls. So, and I hope I see those too. That'd be awesome.
I'm anxious to see Coach Pope's suit as well.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, like Captain Crash is mentioning that in there. He didn't confirm it during the press conference today, but boy, it sure sounds like he will. It sure sounds like Mark Pope's got some sort of denim suit, jacket, some sort of denim situation in store that he's going to break out and wear for that. So that'll be awesome. And then like we were talking about, like a big game or a big day for college basketball in general. Clyde Hare is talking about Duke versus North Carolina. I think it's Houston and maybe BYU is like the nightcap game as well. So like,
I think it's after our game.
Yeah. I think Duke, North Carolina is before Kentucky's game. So like
Illinois, Michigan State, Alabama at Auburn, Florida at Texas A&M, Duke at North Carolina. What a day!
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun game or a fun day overall, just for college basketball fans in general. So
Miami, Ohio at Marshall.
Ooh. When does Murray State play? Steven, get in here. Let's hear Murray. What's Murray State schedules like?
They play tonight.
They do. They play tonight, and then I'm going to the game on Monday. It's at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Good for you.
So, yeah,
Steven's going to do some scouting for next season's or this offseason's transfer portal.
Roman.
Possibly. Roman. Yeah, or he might stay in Murray. Who knows? He might be a racer for life. Highly unlikely, but that would be cool. Yeah. So I'll be at the game on Monday. If you guys are anybody watching in the Western Kentucky area, come join me. It's going to be fun.
There you go. Yeah, go hang out with Stephen Peak and watch Murray State play some basketball. So, yeah, Saturday's gonna be a lot of fun, and hopefully, when we're doing our rapid reaction at 11 o'clock at night in the Hyatt hallway, there, it's all fun and celebration. So, I think that'll end it here. Another fun episode of Zoom Action. Hopefully, everyone learned a little bit more. I always do, and when we're just talking film, I learn something new every day when we're doing stuff like this. So that's why I do it, and hopefully you all do as well. So as always, big shout out to My Old Kentucky Home Repair. Big shout out to everyone in the comments, as our usuals that are always in there, hanging out, watching us and supporting us. So as always, for Steven, make sure to like, subscribe, comment on the YouTube channel, do all that. It really helps him out as well as us. So appreciate everyone, and we will see you all after Saturday's game. Hopefully a big win for the Cats. Later.